What's up, people? Been a little while since you've seen this. Hey, everybody, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 here with once again another open chat for you guys. Tonight's open discussion will be on free and open source software, also known as FOSS. So without further ado, I will put this Hangouts link for you guys in the description bar below. If you guys want to join in, just click the link and come on in. Okay. So I think I'll give it a few minutes, see if anybody decides to join. Alright, that gives me some time. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, people. I was on the phone for a minute. I'm guessing since nobody's gonna come yet, I might as well just get started with the main topic. And once people start arriving, I'll get their thoughts on free and open source software. But anyway, let's get into this, shall we? Free and open source software has pretty much been in existence for a very long time. It comes in many different forms and it is used for a lot of different purposes. Free and open source software is used primarily in the technology world, but it can also be used for education and basically technology, education, social networking, that type of stuff. But basically, people, FOSS software is basically very interesting and something we should really need in our society right now. I mean, I think, to be honest, if every company switched to FOSS right now, we would be so much better off. So much better off. Because we wouldn't have so much, proprietary software that's, doing a whole bunch of data collection, surveillance, all that type of stuff. We don't need that type of stuff in our world. Um, but the thing about free and open source software that I like the most is the ability to modify it, the ability to distribute your modified versions to other people. Um, Basically, modifying it, distributing your modded versions, putting the code out there for other people to tinker with it. That's the power of FOSS. I mean, it does so many things that to me we really do need that type of structuring in our society, and it would do us some benefit. It really would. So, today, people, I want to show you, I want to tell you my favorite um, free and open source software applications. I at least have three of them that I know. Um, Mr. Lamer, how you doing, buddy? You're just in time. Yes, you are. I was just getting to the good part about FOSS. I have three applications that are FOSS. And
Ricky.
oh, hey, buddy, you're just
Hey,
in
how you
time for the
doing?
party.
Yes.
Okay, I was just explaining to the people about FOSS. So, I have three applications that I know are FOSS. One of
Mhm.
them I know is my beloved Genie. I love Genie to death. Another FOSS application that I like is the LX terminal. And another one is good old PC Man FM. Those are my three favorite FOSS applications. Ben, the
Yes.
question I want to ask you is, what do you think of FOSS and how it shapes our society and the structuring of the technological world?
Well, if I may be honest to you, Ricky, I think the way FOSS is going, we're going in a very sharp, and um, I think to answer you, I think it's a very positive thing in our community, and
I agree.
yes, and the way it's shaping forward, I think it's going to be a very positive thing in the future.
Yeah, and I agree. And in my opinion, FOSS should be used not in just the technological world, not just in businesses. I think schools should start using FOSS. I think most companies should switch to FOSS because there's one thing we don't need, and that's all this proprietary AI technology and software that's doing mass surveillance and data collection.
I agree. I mean, the longer 95% of the world uses Mac or Windows, that's not to put anybody down, but the
Nope.
longer those things stay mainstream, we are going to have a serious problem in this thing we
Hmm.
love to call Linux. And,
Exactly.
Linux may be just one example of the saving of our software, but, like TOS today says, and many others, we are running into a problem where Linux is not a main standard operating system,
And
except for like on,
eh,
very expensive machines like Chromebooks and System 76. And until we get more manufacturers like Dell has started to put
eh,
machines with Linux
yes,
on it, but
Dell's
you know,
started Dell's starting to put out more laptops, which is really nice for them in terms of Linux. HP starting to put a few more out there as well in terms of Chromebooks.
yes,
I really do think that the Linux standard, our national Linux desktop for now, lies with the Chromebook.
yes, unfortunately it does, but we do need something that's not based around Gentoo, which you know as well as I do is a very hard operating system to install. It
One
is, and
it one of the most difficult operating systems to install. I mean, you saw in my Slackware live stream, dude. I installed Slackware with little issues. I had no
right, the
problem
only
with that.
thing that we really struggled with when Sergey was helping us was the fact of app management, which we figured out no problem. But the average
Yeah,
user, they're not going to know what the heck to do.
no, they're not. And I think that's why when you look at a national Linux standard, you got to
Yeah.
look at what company and what version of Linux could lead the takeoff. To me,
Mm.
it shouldn't be Microsoft. It shouldn't be
Mm.
Google, and it should not be Ubuntu.
No, Ubuntu is becoming, I hate to say this, less and less user friendly. I mean, GNOME,
I mean,
without a,
they're ta-
without a
they're
dozen extensions, it's just not going to work.
I mean, and if you've noticed over recent versions of Ubuntu, they're taking features out.
Yes, honestly, uh, which honestly, a new user, they love those things. They're used to those things like desktop shortcuts, things in
Now,
the taskbar, things like that.
now,
They
now,
love.
now, as for now, I will say one piece of Linux that has a hope of being our national Linux standard. I mean, the to me, I have a good history with it.
Yeah.
So do you.
Yeah.
Me and you both, I think, would agree that the national Linux standard, it may not lie in Ubuntu itself, but it
Yeah.
lies in Linux Mint.
Yes, which we may get a lot of flack for. But hey, Linux Mint is a great system to show people to Linux. It
It,
showed my
it,
mom to Linux and she loved it.
I mean, Linux Mint. Let's look at the things that Linux Mint does right. Good hardware detection. It
Yes. I mean,
good
it runs on Macs, it runs on anything.
and
Yeah.
it does wonderful with NVIDIA drivers. Very wonderful. Which in,
Yes.
which in,
And
I mean, compared to AMD drivers, which run fine, NVIDIA has always struggled because I'll be honest, NVIDIA just hasn't got it right with the right drivers for Linux yet.
no, it has not. I mean, NVIDIA does not have proper drivers. They just don't. I
No.
mean, even Optimus, which a lot of people claim is a great technology on Linux, it's
Hmm.
not there.
Exactly.
It's
And,
it's
and,
just
and,
not there.
And I agree with some of the comments that Lamer Linux is saying. He said he gave free and open source software a try for 1 week, and he really liked it. When he was using Android, he skipped the Google login screen and installed F-Droid. F-Droid is amazing. I have F-Droid on this old phone here, and I have F Droid on my main phone. F Droid's amazing. I replaced some of the things on my main phone with that. But Linux Mint Cinnamon is going to be our national Linux standard one day.
Yeah.
Once the Linux Mint team have polished it up a little bit more, which they've done a phenomenal job so far. Phenomenal job. But I think, in my opinion, I think the time has come for them to make a Linux Mint laptop.
Yes, they've made a Manjaro laptop. They've made, System 76 machines that can run almost any Linux version, but that's
Th-
solely because they did it to the hardware.
There's
But
there's KDE laptops. KDE has their own laptop line.
yeah,
I mean,
there's no reason we shouldn't be able to run a Mint distro off of it.
mhm.
Like, come on, people.
I mean,
Mint.
Linux Mint would be perfect on a
Heck,
brand
I've
on a.
contemplated, running Mint before. I mean, sure, I'm a Gentoo nutball, but sure, I mean, I could see Linux Mint being a positive standard.
The main reason why I like Linux Mint so much, it is the
Mm.
closest replacement to Windows 7 that we have. Windows 7 is set to expire early next year. This is the closest replacement to 7 because the way I have Mint set up, it's exactly like Windows 7. If
Mm.
you look at KDE Plasma, and you're going to agree with me with this,
Mm.
Windows 10 is close. The way Windows 10 looks, KDE Plasma emulates Windows 10 perfectly.
Right. But the problem is it's heavy on resources.
It is.
Which,
It
yeah,
really is.
yeah. And so the problem with that is it's not going to run well on majority of hardware. I mean, heck, it even struggles on this Dell laptop that I'm talking to you on. I mean,
Yeah.
it has 8 gigs of RAM, a PCI SSD, and a normal SSD. But even on top of that, and a quad core kick ass i5, it struggles. I mean, KDE is just a really poor desktop.
But I will say one thing.
Yeah.
The GNOME desktop environment has come such a far way from what it was 2 years ago. It is getting snappier and snappier every time it upgrades.
Yes, it is. And I'm probably going to get hell for saying this, but, you know, GNOME, I'm starting to feel a heck of a lot better about.
It is. If you have the GNOME dash to panel and just a few odd and ends here, GNOME is a perfect Windows replacement. It really is. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, just not the way Ubuntu's shipping it.
no, here's the thing. If you want GNOME to do well with Ubuntu, get put a good chunk, put at least 10 extensions in Ubuntu that you know that users are going to use.
So Lamer says here, Linux Mint, there are Linux Mint laptops. They are a third party on Linux Mint's website.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. See?
Yeah. So we're slowly starting to get towards a national Linux computer. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is we need one in something like Best Buy or some
And
place like that
mhm.
where we have a national Linux machine that people can just go
You
in there, see them, and eventually it will replace
exactly.
Windows.
And the reason why tonight's discussion is FOSS software is I think some of these laptops should have FOSS software only as a start, and then you can just put whatever you want on it afterhand.
Yes.
The thing is, the free and open source software world has a lot to offer. You got web browsers, IRC clients, chat clients of every kind. If you need a music player, FOSS has got you covered in that department too.
Yeah.
Now, as for Linux itself,
Yeah.
I'm ending the debate right now. You do not need an antivirus for Linux because the chances of your computer getting affected by a virus in Linux is very, very slim, and it
I mean,
extremely rarely
realistically, dude,
happens.
the only way it could potentially happen is like to give somebody, this is just a very real newbie move. If you give somebody your root password, I've seen it happen.
Hmm.
I've done it. I'm sure there's many of times other people have done it.
I
It's
mean,
not smart, but it does
no.
happen.
I mean, I would never give my password to anybody. I mean, when I had my original PS3, which I don't anymore, I have a PS3 Slim now. I'll just summarize a short story here.
Mm.
2008, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he told me that there was a PlayStation Belong Friends list, and he wanted my username and my password. At the time, I was very young and stupid, so I gave it to him. I
Oh,
thought I thought there was a friends list, but there actually wasn't.
oh,
24 hours after I gave it to him, I figured out that my PS3 got hacked and all the information got stolen from it.
oh
Luckily,
no.
luckily, thanks to Sony, they solved the problem and it never happened again. Because the next PS3 that I got, which was my slim model, I put a super tight password on it to where it's even hard for me to remember it sometimes. So I don't give out my password at all. My password is like, oh, I'll give you an example, Ben. A password to me is like a PGP key that I need to decrypt a mail in an anonymous email service.
Oh.
Mm. So word of warning for those of you guys that are coming to Linux, and for those of you guys that are getting into computers, never ever give out your information to anybody. No, 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 no. But on another thing about FOSS software, I mean, one of the biggest things that FOSS is doing as well is there have been a lot of good games that have come out of Linux that are FOSS. I mean, look how good Super Tux Kart's doing.
Yeah, I know.
Super
I
Tux
mean,
Kart's doing great,
yeah.
especially now that it has multiplayer on it. And another thing I like about FOSS as well is, like I said in my personal discussion earlier, before you guys jumped in here, you have the ability to look at the source code, modify it, share your modified versions with your friends and everybody else. You can pretty much do what you
Sorry.
want with the source code.
Mm.
But I will say one thing: free and open source software wouldn't be free and open source software if it wasn't for all the pioneers of Linux that came before us. I mean, look at Richard Stallman. He started the free software movement. And look at the other Linux users. They started the open source movement. You could say that both of those movements have merged basically into the FOSS movement.
That's good.
Mm.
Now, one FOSS app that I really like is Simple Screen Recorder. That is a great app.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I say FOSS is going to be here for a very long time. No matter what Linux distro you have, it's always going to be there. I mean, you could definitely tell a FOSS app from a proprietary app very easily if you know where to look.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the main discussion. I mean, if anybody else wants to chime in on questions, just feel free to ask.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see.
Okay, let's see the comments here. Don't give a random application or terminal command root. Yep, I can agree on that.
Yes, and then Kurt says, I downloaded a file once from a friend on Windows. My virus checker flagged it, so I saved her the bother.
Oh,
That's a
good.
smart idea, Kurt.
Yeah, the thing is, and this is a thing, if you're going to use Windows files on Linux, be very careful of what you use because a virus could be literally in anything. We don't really realize that it's there.
Mm,
So my tip to all of you is if you're going to use wine, use it with care.
yes. Now, there are some things in line that I personally need, like games, for example. I mean, before, as much as it sucks, the wine compatibility layer, it it does not work very well.
Nope. Though it's getting better at that. I mean, version 4.0, there's a bit of improvement.
Yes. And it runs more games, it runs things very well, but it's
Just
still not perfect.
just downloading an antivirus for my Mac, you got me paranoid now. Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. I did not mean to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, an antivirus though is good. I mean, for Mac, I don't know what some of the best free antiviruses are for Mac. I mean, if you know of any, please let me know. I've never used Mac though before. The closest thing I've come to a Mac is an iPhone, and that's as close as I got.
Yeah. I I still use an iPhone. Pains me to say, but I'm so used to that ecosystem that unfortunately it's just hard for me to move away to something else.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was watching Chris Titus tech video about installing AV on Linux and why you should. I commented saying having an AV is nice to have on Linux, but as long as you don't give out your root. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I mean, an antivirus is nice to have, but as I said earlier, I mean, Linux is made by design. It's very difficult for malware to even get into a Linux system. Well, to a personal Linux system. Now, if you're dealing with a Linux server, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because servers can get a virus practically easily, but if you're dealing with a normal Linux user's computer, that's like easier said than done. Because if you got a good firewall in place, nothing's going to get through.
No.
I mean, yes, there's that whole hidden wasp virus going around in Linux, but the thing is, I'm not
Yeah.
that concerned about it because, I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it, the chances of Linux having a virus inside of getting inside of it is extremely rare. And and the best way to get rid of a virus in Linux is to literally reinstall your operating system. That's the real only way you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Mm. But other than that, I mean, Linux is great when it comes to malware protection because it has it by design. I mean, why need an antivirus when you're pretty much protected? Okay, I'm giving iOS a try so far, and I like it some parts. The iOS version that I like is iOS 6. iOS 6 was the best iOS I've ever seen. It worked, it was snappy. When they upgraded it to iOS 7, that's when I said, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. iOS 7 was terrible. I mean, the new iOS finally has a dog, but it's not prime time ready
No, it's not. I mean, look at the UI it has now. It sucks.
yet. Yeah.
I mean, Look at the UI it had in iOS 6. The one in 6 was amazing.
Yeah, and you just can't replicate that.
No, you can't.
Mm.
I mean, I got an iPod Touch that still has iOS 6 and it runs okay.
Yeah, I have an iPod Touch that came with iOS 6. I wish I could go back to it, but I can't.
Oh, oh yeah, if you're using a Linux server on Windows PC going to connect to it,
And
then yes,
honestly,
install
Ricky,
the
my phone came with iOS
okay.
12.1.4, and I can't go back to that. I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
No breakable version that we had was 12.1.2, and Apple stopped signing it, unfortunately. And the last signed version of 12 is 12.3 and 12.3.1, which
Oh,
I'm honestly thinking about going back to either one of those because I'm just not happy on iOS 13. I mean, sure,
yeah.
it's faster, it has the dark mode. Truthfully, dude,
I
yeah,
iOS is getting, yeah, I've heard it's getting a dark mode.
I actually have it on the dark mode right now on 13, and it's fine. It's all great and all. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, dude, it's just a dev beta. I can't live on it.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. I
But
mean,
I,
I'd love to, but it's a beta. It's not meant to be used as a daily driver.
yep, yep, I
And
agree
the
with you.
same can be said for my Mac sitting next to me. I mean, I'm not gonna run a beta OS right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it works for you, Lemur, good for you. I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
It, but I will say one thing: the UI is what drove me away from Apple Plus. Because the minute they went to 7, I was like, okay, I'm done. Because I had
Mm,
an iPhone for a year, and after a year passed, I went right back to Android because I was not gonna go to 10. Nope.
mm.
As
And
as
I just as a
as
bit of news, you guys. Hold on, Ricky. So I was just gonna say, I'm actually gonna bite the bullet and say it, guys. I know this is a FOSS stream, but look, I'm getting a Mac Pro 2008 ordered tomorrow via my dad as a birthday gift.
yep.
It's in a couple weeks. So anyway, um, it's not gonna be running Mac OS as its main daily driver. It's gonna have Mac OS on it on one of the drives. But here, I'm putting my AMD RX 580 in there.
Hmm.
I'm going to keep the original NVIDIA card just as a backup.
Yeah.
Well as a couple more hard drives, and one of them is going to be two SSDs, and another terabyte hard drive along with the 1 terabyte it comes with. And I am going to run Gen 2 on it because it has two quad core Xeons in the damn thing. So yeah, Gen 2 is going to compile like a champ on it because it also has 12 gigs of RAM. So yeah, it's going to be a killer machine for what I do. So yeah, that thing is going to run like a champ. Don't you think, Ricky?
Oh, I think so too. I think so too.
Hmm.
I mean, the one thing I liked about the older Mac computers when Steve Jobs was around is he made sure those things worked solid.
Yes, and unfortunately, the new machines today, he would be crying at them, if not worse.
I mean, I understand that they chose his best friend Tim Cook to replace him. I get it, but the thing
But in
is,
my
but
opinion, Craig Federighi would run it a lot better.
he would. He
I
really
mean,
would.
sure, he's a software guy, but look, he knows how to do keynotes.
He
Tim Cook,
does.
no, he can't do crap.
And if you look at the direction where the company is going, they're starting to get into the whole data collection just like how
What
Microsoft did,
Microsoft's doing.
and they're changing their hardware a little bit to where they're putting data collection into the hardware. And
Yeah,
I am not liking where this is going.
nor am I, dude. I mean, actually, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get my. And here's the thing: Apple is dropping 32-bit support in their operating system now on the Mac.
Yeah,
Like, oh
I'm
my
shocked
god!
about that.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's really a showstopper for me for running Mac OS because I
Yeah,
mean They're older apps. But look, 95% of the population still uses half these apps. Like Steam doesn't work, Crossover doesn't work, uTorrent, for example, doesn't work. A lot of the apps that I rely on don't work anymore in the Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Drives me nuts. I mean, I'm testing Mac OS Catalina, which is still supported on this MacBook, a 2013, and Steam doesn't work, Wine doesn't work, Crossover doesn't work. So a lot of things that I love in the Mac don't work. It's stupid. And
Mm-hmm.
until we get pure 64-bit versions of those apps, is like a cripple now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
I would be damned if Skype doesn't even work.
You
So
haven't even tried that one yet?
no, but I tell you, I'm not going to even bother. I'm just going to say screw it and go back to Mojave.
Yeah, because we know everything works on that one.
Right, and so it's just a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, this is a bit of a problem.
Flash doesn't work in. What do you mean Flash doesn't work in Linux? Are you saying that like Adobe Flash doesn't work in Linux or Pepper Flash? Because I have the Pepper Flash plugin in my system and it works perfectly. Apple will possibly make Skype not work too. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the thing about FaceTime, it's literally starting to become the new Skype with how they're retweaking it. But the one thing about FaceTime, though, it only works with the phone with the contacts and stuff. So, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I do not, like I say, I do not like where Apple's going. Uh,
Yeah, I don't like where they're going.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but yeah, I may be on Windows 10 right now on this machine, but I'm seriously thinking of wiping it and just putting Gentoo on here or Arch or something because
Hmm.
it's
Well, uh,
um,
since since Antergos pretty much is in the graveyard now, um, I found the perfect replacement to Antergos.
what is it?
Arch Labs.
That one I have not tried.
And but the thing I like about Arch Labs is I currently am using a desktop that I said I wouldn't use because of the operating system in
Yeah.
that operating system history, but I bit the bullet and I am officially on my other Linux drive for that computer over there, my
Yeah.
coffee table computer. There's two of them over there. The Windows computer is sitting over there, but right beside it, I have a Peppermint Tower, Peppermint 10. But the Windows computer, I have a Linux drive for it that I can pop in there, and I can boot into Arch Labs Deepin.
I never thought I'd hear you say you're using that machine.
The
That GUI, I should say.
thing
You're
about
using Deepin.
Yeah, I looked over the thing. There's no EULA, there's no store, there's no data collection. The desktop
So it's
environment,
entirely what you make of it.
exactly. The desktop environment itself is safe.
That's good.
So, and Deepin, it's running great. I got it to look like Windows. It's really nice.
Cool.
So, and the thing is, it's a very minimal Arch Labs install. I just don't need anything else on it.
Yeah. You see, what I really like about Linux is having LVM Lux encryption, but the problem with that is I don't know how to get a second drive as my home folder on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's the one thing that bugs me.
yeah. Hey, Cat Gamer, how you doing, buddy? If you want to join us in here, link is at the very top of the live chat comments. I already have the
Hello,
hangout.
Cat
I already
Gamer.
I already have the hangouts link up there. And this
Yeah.
time I got it right so nobody will be locked out.
Mm. Yeah. Hi,
Because I
Cat.
fi- because I figured out what I did wrong. I
Yeah.
went to invite people, and the hangout is the first, and the hangout link is sitting just right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, people, I mean, I think what I'll do next
Yeah.
is I'll look at some more FOSS. Well, I'm gonna look up other FOSS stuff on my ungoogled Chromium browser. I might as well do a little Linux report here, right here, too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's live after all. So,
Yeah. True.
let's see here. Let me look up some applications. Let's see. Top 5 FOSS apps. There we go. Right in the start page. Oh, here we go. 12 best free and open source Android apps.
Ooh.
Hmm. But Android's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking up Linux apps. So let's see here. Let's see what we can get next. Here we go. 35 essential Linux apps. Oh, I hope you guys are ready for this.
Oh God.
Okay. I'm not going to read this full article. I have no time for it. But here is some of the things we have here. For
Yeah.
image editors, you have GIMP and Inkscape, which are phenomenal if you want to get into editing. For audio recorders, you have Audacity and LMMS. For
Yeah.
for email, you have Hyri and Thunderbird.
Yeah.
For sound recording, you have Kazam, OBS,
I'll be
Flameshot,
back, guys.
and Ksnip. You for system maintenance, Stacer, which is the best CCleaner replacement for Linux, in my opinion, and HTOP. For games, for gamers, Discord and Steam. For media players, Audacious and VLC. For for media software, you have Kodi and Plex. For video editing, you have Kdenlive and OpenShot. For open source media converters, you have Sound Converter and you have Handbrake. For let's see here. For backup tools, you'll have Bakula and Timeshift. For PDF tools, you have LibreOffice Draw and PDF Studio. For code and test editors, you have VS Code, LYX, and TextMaker. For note-taking apps, you have Laverna and Simple Note. For messaging apps, you have Fraints and you have Slack. For visualization apps, you have VirtualBox. For if you want a good authenticator, you have Ophie. So basically, I mean, while not all these apps are free and open source, a good chunk of them are. So, but I would say check all these apps out if you're interested. Avira, yeah, Avira's lightweight. Avast, that's a good antivirus. I used to ask me for those. Yeah, yeah, I can see that, Lamer. Okay. Let's see here. Let me look up more FOSS stuff for you guys. Ah, here we go. 75 most used essential Linux applications, and this is from FOSS Mint. Okay. I think this will be the last one for the night. Okay. For backup tools, we have rsync. We have time shift. For BitTorrent clients, we have my favorite one of all time, Deluge. We have QBitTorrent transmission. For cloud storage, you have Dropbox, Google Drive, and Mega. For command line editors, you had Vim, Emacs, and Nano. For download managers, you have Aria 2, UGet, XDM. Also, for email clients, Thunderbird, Geary, Evolution. If you're into financing, these are for you. GNU Cash, KMyMoney. For IDE editors, Eclipse IDE, NetBeans IDE, and Brackets. You also have Atom IDE, Lighttable, Visual Studio Code. For instant messaging, you have Pigeon, Skype, Empathy. For Linux antivirus, you have ClamAV and ClamTK. For desktop environments, you have my favorite environment, Linux Mint Cinnamon, Mate, GNOME, KDE. For Linux maintenance tools, you have GNOME Tweak Tools, Stacer, BleachBit. For terminals, you have the GNOME Terminal, Console, Terminator, and Gwake. For multimedia editors, you have Ardor, Audacity, GIMP, Krita, and Lightworks. Sorry, Lamer XFC wasn't listed. Sorry. OpenShot, PidIV, Rhythmbox, Lollipop, Amarok, Clementine, CMOS. For Office suites, you have the Caligara suite. You have LibreOffice, WPS Office. For screenshot tools, you have Kazam, Shutter, GNOME Screenshot. For screen recorders, Simple Screen Recorder, Record My Desktop. You also have for text editors. You have text editor, Atom, Sublime Text, Genie, my favorite text editor of all time, Genie. I love Genie to death. Gedit, to-do list apps, Evernote, Everdo, Task Warrior, video players, Banshee, VLC, Kodi, SM Player. For visualization tools, you have QEMU, VirtualBox, and VMware. For web browsers, you have Chrome, Firefox, and Vivaldi. And that's pretty much it, people. That's it on FOSS Mint. XED is nice. It's nice. All right, people. I think I'm going to give this about 9 minutes and we'll wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed this open chat. If you want to see more, more live streams just like this, then smash that like button and support my channel. Thank you. Also, you can catch me on Mastodon.technology and MeWe. MeWe is a really nice place for Facebook that takes aim at protecting your security and your privacy. Please check out MeWe. Also, another thing. Oh, yes, I remember now. Another thing. July 27th, 9 a.m. Let me look on my calendar to see if I got it correct. Yes, July 27th, 9 a.m. I will be doing a live Gentoo installation for the very first time ever, along with my buddy Serge. So if you want to see that live stream, check it out on July 27th, 9 a.m. That is true. That is true, Lamer. MeWe is FOSS. And that's how it should be. Excuse me 1 minute. Be right back. I gotta get me some water. All right. Okay. Okay. Okay, my throat's a little better now. Now I can talk a little more. Okay, but yes, check out that live stream. It will be great. Also, Monday, um, Monday, I'll I will be putting up my Linux Mint GNOME environmental setup review. Yes, besides Cinnamon on here, I am running GNOME. GNOME, but sadly, it's not GNOME 3.32. It's actually 3.28, but that's okay. It works. It's stable. So keep a lookout for Monday for my Linux Mint GNOME setup review. Also, well, no, that'll be Tuesday because you guys get videos Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday is my Linux Mint GNOME setup review, along with a Linux report. Yes, yeah, I saw that, Lamer. I saw that. Yes, I will need a cold one after I get done with Gen 2. To be honest, a Bud Light does sound good right now. All right, people. About 5 minutes and we'll wrap things up. Oh, that's wonderful, Lamer. Wonderful. Yeah, that one's one of my favorites. You're going to enjoy that one. Okay. Mm. Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve. How you doing, my man? You got here a little late. I'm just about to wrap up. But if you want to catch the conversation, then you can rewind the live stream if you wish. I've never had moonshine before. Never. Ever, ever. Okay. Got about 4 minutes and we'll wrap it up, people. You're a little too late, Benjamin. I'm so sorry. I'm just about to wrap up here. But if you want to catch the live stream, you can rewind it if you wish. But never fear. July 27th, 9 a.m., I will be doing a Gentoo installation with Surge, so you guys can catch me then as well. Though I may do another open chat before then. I see, Benjamin. It's okay. Oh, man, 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 man. That's okay, Lamer. That's okay. Oh, man. But I hope you all enjoyed this live stream and my discussion on the world of FOSS. I will be diving into the to more FOSS related topics in the future, so stay tuned for that. So, with that being said, people, hey, there's a 2-minute warning now, so be safe, have a nice night, don't talk to strangers, and say no to drugs. And take care of everybody with kindness. But until then, people, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did with my FOSS discussion. Like I said, I will be diving into more FOSS related topics in the future with Linux reports and tech reports. So keep a lookout for those. Also, I think what I'm also going to do at some point, I will be installing one of the Free Software Foundation's beautiful distros. And the one that I'm going to install at some point through VirtualBox is Triskel. So keep a lookout in the far future for a Triskel installation / review. But until then, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 saying see you later. Have a good night, people, and see you all next Tuesday for my Linux GNOME setup review and the next edition of Linux Report. Take care. Have a good night.